All right, I don't think I'm gonna have enough radiator fluid, but, oh yeah, but we're gonna hitch up the radiator, or start filling up the radiator. We probably ought to put the plug back in it, don't you think? It's not that big a radiator, a block. But I bet it's gonna take more than I got left in this bottle. All right, I'll definitely need to get some more. Before that, now the battery is good, except the battery isn't. You see all that shininess on it? She's off-gassing, she's leaking. That means it doesn't have long to live. Now, a lot of people online, what they're doing is they're using Prius batteries in these. I don't think I'm going to use a Prius battery. From my understanding, this battery is 350 cranking amps, approximately 325-ish. So I think we're going to use something smaller, but we're going to clean this up first. Then go get the battery, give what I'm about to do time to dry. We're going to start with good old-fashioned cardboard box. So I am not putting this in the bottom of my Jeep to rot out the carpeting or burn it. There we go. I'll give you an idea. That's been about 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. It's been less than a week since I did that. We got all that lovely corrosion on there. Actually, I'm going to take this out and then I'm going to douse it in baking soda to neutralize this acid. And baking soda will neutralize battery acid. So I'm doing that just for the simple fact that I don't want battery acid in the back of the Jeep, as well as it's leaking. You wouldn't be able to drink it, but at least it's not going to melt your skin. For the battery tray itself, we're going to do something a little different. Well, a little different for some people, but you've probably seen me do some stuff like this before. See wet spots there. I heard it fizz, but I didn't see it fizz. So there was some active something there. All right, I'm gonna let that dry for a few minutes, and then I will be back to coat it. Yeah. To fix this, or cover it up, I've got some Henry Tropicool. This is a silicone. This is what they use on RVs. Well, and this is what I used on RVs too. I got a big bucket and I didn't even use half of it. So, it seems like a good idea, since I'm not using it anyways for its intended purpose. Let's just go ahead and continue not using it for its intended purpose. There's a good old-fashioned fiberglass rod I'm using, and a cheap paintbrush that I can just throw away after the fact. And I'm going to put this stuff on fairly thick. One of the reasons I'm using this is because this is a battery tray. In theory, this stuff should seep into all the pores and give me a barrier between the battery and any acid that's coming out. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work. I just get me a nice can of rattle paint, and we rattle paint it. She's drip drying. All right, well, I'm back. I got the radiator refilled, so we're gonna let that sit while we do some other stuff. I also got a new battery. I got a 400 cranking amp AGM Power Sport battery. Super Start. It'll probably last a year, maybe 2. Probably won't last as long as the last one. It will require me to do some new work here and maybe here. Just, you know, clean that stuff up. But we're not going to worry about that right now because I want to get the alternator back on. And maybe, you know, the boot for the distributor, and well, we'll probably worry about that later. You know, I want to hitch up some other stuff. Let me shut up and get to work. So 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. I've been chipping away at this in the evenings, but I ended up getting a new battery. I ended up going with a AGM, or automotive glass mat. And I also redid my terminals on the positive side as well. And now I need to come up with a new way to hold the battery down, because this is the original battery hold down. She is, well, she'd still work, but she's looking more than a little bit rough. So I went through my scrap metal and I found this piece. This is a shelving railing from a refrigerator that I scrapped. But it should hold pretty good if I get the right length on it. This is my original hold down for it. I just went ahead and bought a universal one. That should work just fine. So I've repositioned the truck, and it's still a little wet as far as this paint goes. We're going to go ahead and reinstall the battery and get things rolling. What we're going to do now is get her up to operating temp. Oh, before I do that, if you notice right there, there's a little sticker on that. That's going to become pertinent here in a few minutes. Well, next scene for y'all. Good, she sucked some down. Oh, she's sucking a bit down now. As I said, I got the radiator elevated right now, so that I can hopefully get all the air bubbles out. I think I'm going to turn the fan around too to blow out. I also want to get it up to temp before I adjust the timing or check the timing, as well as I need to check the RPMs first. After a bunch of work, I think I was able to get it finally set. She sounds a lot better. I'm still getting about 1400 RPMs, which is a little bit high. It's supposed to be about 950 to 1000. But yeah, it's not 2800, which was what it was idling at before. So yeah, much better. We got our tachometer here. Yeah, we need to go about 50 RPMs higher. I don't think we need that much. A little lower. There we go. 976. And I can keep it on there. Alright, so I'm clipped onto the battery and the number 1 wire. Let's see if this old Craftsman timing light works on a 3-cylinder motor. And I don't know why I'm shouting. I got the mic right here on me. Sorry about that. Force of habit. Alright, that's not making sense to me. It's really not making sense to me. I should be getting something there. Let me... And I'm about 30 degrees off, or 40 degrees off from TDC on cylinder 1, which has me... I don't know what that's all about. But, see that white mark at the top? I don't know if that's coming up, but right behind the belt there, you can see the timing mark. How is this thing running like that? She is way retarded, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going back to the drawing board on this one. I might have to pull the timing belt off and take a closer look at things. Yay! Alright, so I fiddled with this for a while yesterday and did some research and some thinking, and I think I might have figured out that the issue I'm having with the timing right now is, well, my fault. It's going to take me a little bit, 45 minutes to an hour, maybe less. But let me see if I can find what I think the issue is, and I will be right back. Well, I think I have, well, there's your problem moment. See down in that hole, see that little purple dot down there? That is on 0. Now if we come down here, I pulled the timing cover off, and if you look right here, there's a dot. If you look right here, there's a notch in the cover. These two should be lined up. Well, that is lined up with that tooth. So I am 1 tooth off on my belt. So what I need to do is take this belt off, turn this pulley 1 tooth, and put the belt back on. And for reference, I think all of that to get to this point took me 15 minutes. I'm getting better at this. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but let me go ahead and get this realigned, and I think that may fix our timing problem. Oh, and for reference, on the timing cover, they have a little arrow piece here, and on the main pulley, they have a little slot. These two are supposed to be lined up like that. Well, when I'm trying to get it timed, that's the best I could get it. It was like that. And when I started, it was more like this. And that was how I was able to verify off the transmission that the timing was out that far. And no, I have no idea how this thing was running with the timing being that far off. That is impressive. But I'm hoping I can close this gap to something like this. We'll see. And I'm probably going to cheat too. Once I get all this together, I'm probably going to check the timing before I put all the accessories back on. AC, water pump, alternator. I'll probably torque that pulley down and go ahead and check the timing on it, see if we're any closer, if we're at least in the window down there. Let's see what happens. Well, she definitely sounds better. We are way over there, but looks. We're still way out, but we're closer. And get it a little bit further. So what are we at there? 0, 2, 4, 6, 7 degrees. Woo! So I could stand to go one more tooth, which would bring my distributor back to center. But as of right now, so under general maintenance for the EFNS, it says 7 degrees at 950, or 7 degrees past top dead center at 950 RPMs. We are on 7 degrees on the dot right now. So in the event I got to do any more adjustment, what's that, clockwise, if I have to do any more adjustment, counterclockwise, then I'm going to have to do this again and pull the belt. But an extra half a degree past TDC, I'm not going to worry about too much. But I think we're almost finished. Holy cow, I might actually have the truck back up and running. This has been quite the escapade. So if you've stuck around this long, well, 1, thank you. 2, I wouldn't be really scared to do this. I mean, I made an error, but it wasn't something that was catastrophic. And I've never done this before. So if you haven't, you can save yourself a good deal of money and a mechanic if you can do it yourself. Because here at on the homestead, well, as it says, we're jack of all trades. So please like, comment, subscribe, and well, you'll see me on the next one. Well, maybe Hun. I don't know. We'll see.